as a part of our energy access program. For us at the Decree, therefore, youth engagement is critical. We believe that youth should have a voice in matters that affect their future, and they must have a seat at the decision-making tables. So this event is not tokenism for us. The Decree truly sees youth as innovators and pioneers and are happy to partner to provide this platform. And as the Native American saying goes, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharianne. And this is great news. And I love the work that you are doing with the CCRE. And right now, I would like to transition to Susanjay. Welcome again to the forum. Um, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank
Hello,
you.
everyone. Good afternoon. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about innovation and the role that the university plays. I choose not to have any slides. Just like when you're in the classroom, normally students tend to be distracted by slides. So I thought I'll have a conversation with you all today. I only have 5 minutes, so I'll try to be brief as possible. So when we talk about innovation, particularly within the Caribbean context, we must remember that the needs of the region, this region, are different to the needs of other villages in the world. What we require is different for us. So we always need to be keeping that in mind. We are affected by different issues. And some of those issues, which include global warming, is linked to the changing weather patterns. We feel the impacts, particularly within the region. These impacts are not only during the natural disaster, but also during the recovery. So food, energy, and communication security is very critical to us. Given that this is Energy Week, I thought I'll focus a little bit on some of the aspects of energy security. So we'll include a little bit about renewable energy and energy efficiency, which contributes to reducing our carbon footprint, which is important for us as a people. And it also helps to foster and sustain energy conscious behavioral patterns. So some of the topics that we here at the university focus on would include a long list that I've prepared, but I can't go through all in detail. So what I'm going to talk a little bit and share with you all some of the dimensions that we actually look at here. And hopefully this could be a useful starting point for our conversation, maybe in our other session. So when we talk about energy security, we have to think about fuels. A big part is alternative fuels. For instance, one of my colleagues here, they are looking at seaweed. It's called sargassum. And this seaweed, as you may find in the beaches that are scattered across the region, could potentially be harnessed into a form of fuel. And if you can do that, that's a good form of biofuel. Just think about the benefits that brings. We look at other sources of low carbon fuels that may be applied towards the transportation industry, which is a very high emitter of carbon. And conversion of the internal combustion engine vehicles to gas-based, which is CNG, and even working on the conversion designs for electric vehicles. A nice little project for the car enthusiasts out there like myself. But these are actual projects that we're working on. These are things that are happening here. We also recognize that, particularly during these periods of lockdown, there's always been a concern about food security. And when we look at the technology that has been made available to us, we have the opportunity to include sensors that can help migrating farming towards a digital and a precision farming environment that lends itself ultimately to smart farming. And that helps us utilize the technology, improve our yields, make things, at least in this case, or produce a lot more optimized, whether it be in a shorter time frame, better quality, and most of all, from a cost effective perspective, it's cheaper. So we have to leverage on those things, and those are projects that we do here at UWI. We also look at developing the equipment to harvest some of these crops, because part of growing it is harvesting. So that's another dimension. But what's even more critical is when you look at these aspects of putting together these systems, part of innovation is leveraging on the advent of the Internet of Things. And you look at the ability for these sensors that we will be utilizing, sensors that you use on your phone, sensors that may be detecting the light in a room, moisture in the soil, stress on a moving belt, speed of a rotating device. the flow of liquid. These are just sensors that we can now utilize in some designs that can now be incorporated into the World Wide Web, and it gives us the functionality that we can now control right on our phones. And you all are no strangers to this, but this is the kind of work that you all can be actively engaging with, preparing yourselves for what's going to happen tomorrow. And in some cases, it's already happening today, let's be fair. So we look at renewable energy. It's always a hot topic here in the tropics. And what's important is we see the opportunity to control our behavior. This generates the opportunity to leverage on the data that we get from it. It's a very lucrative part of the cycle. So for you, but about this for a second, when you get all this data, what are we going to do with it? I'm sure you all would have heard of the challenges that Facebook and Google would have landed themselves in with the privacy and
Hello, hello, Sanjay. We seem to have lost Sanjay. Is everyone hearing me?
Yes, still hearing you.
Yes, Martin, we can hear you. We seem to have lost Sanjay.
Okay, okay. Well, in the essence of time, I I will move on to the ambassador. So thank you, Sharianne, and also thanks to Sanjay. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Fiona Clowder, who is the COP26 Regional Ambassador for Latin America and the Caribbean. And she's here to share some key insights on the upcoming 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties and the prestigious Earthshot Prize. Ambassador Fiona Clowder, over to you.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the invitation to join what already is a really stimulating and exciting meeting. And I was asked to talk about hopes for COP26. And really, hope is what all this is about. That we are facing a changing world, a pretty difficult world, with the sadness of the impacts of the pandemic, but also a world that faces enormous challenges from climate change. And for the Caribbean of all regions, I know that you are already living some of that reality. And so really, I'd like to talk more about hope, because this is about hope for our world of the future, which is your world of the future. And it's your vision, your ideas, your innovation, the world that you want to live in is what is really important. And so COP26 is the big UN conference of all the parties, so all the countries, about climate change. And we should just have been celebrating now the end of COP26 as in the conference. But the impact of COVID-19 means that conference will now take place in a year's time, from the 1st to the 12th of November in Glasgow, Scotland. And the voice of youth is a very, very important part of all of that. We want to both deliver an ambitious COP, but also an inclusive COP, working with young people, working with experts, working with communities to harness innovation and commitment of all, and amplifying voices and climate solutions led by young people. And so our approach to COP26 is going to both be around raising levels of ambition, in other words, to try and take action to ensure that we do stay within that 1.5 degrees commitment that was made in Paris. And I was very struck by some of the imagery that was put up earlier on about 1.5 to stay alive. That's a really, really powerful message. And so, as well as all the formal negotiations between the technical experts, what's also important is about change in the real world. And also, this isn't just about a conference in a year's time. This is about what do we do in this year ahead of us? How do we all work together? How do we harness energy in every sense. And so for COP26, the themes we're going to take forward, as well as overarching ambition, are around adaptation and resilience, which I think people in the Caribbean know more about than most, and also identifying how we can do that better in the future, for example, with more resilient infrastructure. It's around clean transport, zero emission vehicles. It's around some of the solutions that can be found in nature, making the most of our environments, protecting precious biodiversity and ecosystems, and also looking at how nature can help. For example, there's been a lot of work done looking at mangroves, for example, in Jamaica and elsewhere in the Caribbean, because they're very important for efficiently storing carbon as well as protecting coastlines. And then there's also about all the money that's needed to make all this happen, and both around finance in terms of more for development and green projects, but also how do we work with business, and how does business also change to address climate risks and opportunities, and share that information and drive investment. And as we focus our discussion today on energy, perhaps for this region more than anything, it's not so much about reducing emissions, although that's good if that can be done, but it's much more about providing further resilience to regions' energy in the wake of extreme external shocks. And the falling cost of renewables and low carbon makes economic sense. This region has high potential for more foreign direct investment, more significant job growth, for example, in solar and wind. And the UK is already helping to build some of those ties between British business and the region, for example, through the Caribbean Renewable Energy Forum last month. And so, as I mentioned, energy is going to be one of the themes of our presidency, but this is not a challenge that any one of us can fix alone. And that's why events like this are very important to share ideas, stimulate conversation, find solutions that work for everyone. And I'd also like to highlight the Earthshot Prize. So this is the most prestigious global environment prize in history, through the Royal Foundations, designed to incentivize change and help repair our planet over the next 10 years. It's a really visionary prize, and it's centered around 5 Earth shots. So simple but ambitious goals, which for our planet, which if they're achieved by 2030, improve life for us all for generations to come. And the 5 Earth shots cover nature, clean air, oceans, waste, and fixing our climate. All the things that are fundamental to our future. So nominations are now open to highlight businesses, communities, and individuals who have made progress towards finding solutions against those 5 themes. And so to close, I'd just like to say that really this is all about your energy, your voice, your future. I thought Darren's presentation really brought to life what that future might be like. But we have a real chance to make a difference, particularly in this year ahead, by working together. So I hope you will add your voice to and ideas to climate action for our world of the future. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Ambassador Clowder. And I definitely agree with your strong words at the end. You know, Sanjay, I would like to give you some more time because I know you had a technical issue, just to finish up with what you were saying.
Right. Thanks, Martin. Appreciate that. Thanks, Ambassador, for filling in on such short notice there. Technical issue, it happens. So guys, as I was saying, you know, we have the opportunity in front of us to leverage a huge amount of data. And this data really comes in the form that we can create we can monetize this data, because essentially using these sensors that captures everything from your heartbeat all the way to the type of the energy that you consume, when you consume it, how long you use energy for, this gives us a fantastic opportunity to create, innovate, and therefore have what would be a transition to a much smarter environment where we are leveraging on the data with machine learning, data optimization. So for those of you enthusiasts outside there, those looking towards moving in a particular direction, I urge you to pick up the programming skills, get involved, learn a little more about the significance of utilizing the Arduinos, the Raspberry Pi, the Floras. If you haven't heard those terms before, go look it up. I strongly recommend you do so. This is the direction in which students, science students, technology students, engineering students, this is the direction you're going to have to go in. And this is what is going to make the difference. And how can we utilize some of that skill set? Let me give you another example of some of the work that we're doing on campus. We're looking at electric vehicles. We're studying the impact of electric vehicles on the grid. So we have the challenge of identifying what is that penetration going to look like on the grid. Because recall, you have existing assets, and electric vehicles not only charge, they also provide energy. So you have a unique device on wheels that can give you some options. So you need to appreciate what it can do for you and what are the boundaries of that. And go one step further, you could take, you know, those little devices, the Raspberry Pis and those Arduinos, and program to read from the data, from the card data. You look at the data, you harness that data, and it gives you an appreciation of how exactly you can utilize this transportation-oriented data to improve on anything from your costs in terms of driving, help from a national perspective, identify where the violations are in speeds, use that with the geospatial techniques that we have, and you can cross-reference, and you bring all these together. And what you're actually creating is a highly technological environment that you all can participate and shape, and also ensure that it's safe, because that's key to all of this. Another aspect too is with the renewable energy that I heard the ambassador was talking about, there's the battery storage. We often hear about wind and solar, understanding the difference between a microgrid, a smart grid. How can we integrate these different dimensions? And this is what we do here at the UWI, which is we take a very close look and identify exactly what we need to have in terms of storage requirements so that you are not going to over design. We also look at creating the resilience component. How can we ensure that the systems are smarter? They can heal. If there's an outage, the system knows exactly how to compensate for that. So all of these are different types of research topics that we are actively engaged here at UWI. And I'll wrap up now, and I'll leave you all with a few comments. That would be that as young people, we have a responsibility. We are blessed with the opportunity to move forward to the next generation that comes behind us and give them what would be an even better position to evolve what the generation before us has provided for us. So that's our responsibility. And it's an evolution, particularly a transformation in the digital era where we are digital natives. So from an innovation perspective, I urge you all to seize that initiative. Go, just be hungry. Just take it, run with it, pick up all your textbooks. Feel free to contact us here at the UWI. We recognize the role of preparing students today for tomorrow. Science, technology, and engineering all work hand in hand. I hope this has been useful for you all. Thank you. Martin, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. And yes, I agree with you. This is such a great time for innovation. And, you know, we had some questions come in. You've heard 4 initiatives broadly, but we had a question directed towards the CCRI. So Sharianne, Fatima Karim asks, does the CCRI have an innovation challenge just for university students? And she also says she loves what you're doing.
Thank you so much for that question, Fatima. Right now, our innovation challenge is going to be focused on primary and secondary schools, but we did get that suggestion while we were doing our consultations. So you can look out for it maybe in the next round if we're going to be extending it to university students as well.
Thank you. I mean, and I know you guys are CARICOM is, as Dr. Gardner explained, is involved with the regional universities network. So it was very fascinating to see how everything fits together that was presented at different levels. Ambassador, we have a question for you, that to qualify for an Earthshot, you need to be recommended or nominated by key organizations. How should we as youth go about getting ourselves on the radar of these companies and organizations? Are there smaller competitions?
Gosh, that's a very good question. First of all, what we're going to do on our UK and Caribbean website is we'll post more details of the prize itself. But I think in a way that question is very innovative. And so actually getting in touch with some of these companies and showing what skills and ideas you have to offer is in itself a good way forward. So I don't know of the detail of satellite prizes, but we can certainly look into that. And any information we'll post on our Twitter feed on UK and Caribbean.
Thank you very much. And you know, we're facing the most direct impacts of climate change, as the poem that was given in the beginning really brought the emotional side to it. We have a question here about the adaptation. Well, it's more of a comment saying that the University of West Indies, and I guess it builds on your point about data and information, Sanjay. There's the opportunity for greater urban design and innovative building design and form. Could you just comment on how data can help with that before we move on?
Of course, I mean, it's a very valid point, Martin. The biggest challenge, we all have is ensuring that the various arms all use the data together. So it has to work in unison with all the different arms. So while it's valuable, you have to ensure that the process allows for it. So I support the comment, and it's something that we have to keep moving on and ensuring that we can get it there.
Well, thank you all very, very much. In the essence of time, I'm going to hand over to Sapphire. Oh, Sapphire, you're on mute.
Okay, Martin, if I could just interject while Sapphire is coming on.
Sure, go ahead.
That a number of persons have asked how they can get more involved with the CICRI. And I want to just let you know, you can visit our website or follow us on Twitter at CCR_GNSEC. So you can stay tuned of everything that is happening, or reach out to us, send us an email, info@cicri.org, because we did have someone who was interested in working, sent us an email, and is now volunteering as an intern with us. So we're open to hear from you.
That's great news. That's great news and very timely. So Sapphire, over to you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Hearing you very clearly.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Martin. That was a really great session. And we're just going to transition. And today we are joined by Danica Thomas. Danica is an award-winning spoken word poet and activist from Trinidad and Tobago. So Danica, we now welcome you to tell us your story about magicians.
Once upon a time, there were these magicians. I was told that on the 6th day of creation, they were made from dust, given the earth as a gift for existing, and told to go forth and make magic. Can you imagine being given an entire planet? They were supposed to make it a better place, supposed to maintain and enhance its beauty, bring smiles to a crowd of 7 billion faces, live in harmony with all of the organisms that existed in that space. And I guess they did for some time. But my mother had a line, she said all the time, she said, all good things started hot and sweaty, but people never followed through. And according to this story, it must be true. See, these magicians, humble, curious, innocent, started simple. So they moved from riding on the backs of donkeys to soaring heaven in their flying machines in their hands. The world would become smaller. They would light up the night sky with artificial stars in the absence of the sun, cure the sick with science, walk on the moon in suits made of breaths, and in the same breath, they would leach the land of her lustre, turn oceans into acid, transfuse every last bit of her blood into their vehicles, exhaust the sky with their exhaust, and as if that isn't enough, they will leak all the moisture from her eyes so that the king tides brimming behind her eyelids come out in the form of deserts. And when they're finished, they will sit on their thrones and watch as the world crumbles into nothing. Can you imagine having all that power and being nothing but parasites? Having the world try to shake itself free of you, having the rain force feed itself to fields, having hurricanes hurry themselves into the stomachs of the thirsty, having the sea submerge cities in warm hugs. How long do you think a drowning island can hold its breath for? See, these magicians can turn cool icelands into burning infernos. Isn't it magical? How by the year 2050, some islands like Trinidad and Tobago could cease to exist? Isn't it magical? How their greatest disappearing act will be how they will make the entire species go extinct? Isn't it magical? How the actions of these magicians can demolish an entire planet, and they'll do it for profit. And because of them, one day we'll all have to flee our homes like wildlife running out of a burning forest. And when the last tree is cut, when the last river is polluted, when the last bit of fresh air is respired, when they've used up everything and made the land ugly and uninhabitable, maybe then those magicians would use their magic to reverse the damage that they've done. Or maybe it will be too late. Or maybe we'll all live happily ever after.
Wow, thank you, Danica. That was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our attendees enjoyed it as well. I was reminded of a session that I was in once with the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, and he said that people who come from islands, small island developing states, that it's, our responsibility to be that voice that speaks out against these kind of ills that we ourselves as humanity have done against our planet. Thank you again for that, Danica. So now I would like to introduce our second session. It is called, just to give you the title, Reimagining Resilience, Youth at the Center. This session focuses on reimagining resilience, mainstreaming the voice, the vision, innovations, and work of youth and young professionals at the center of CARICOM's efforts to realize a sustainable, climate-resilient future. In this segment, we have with us a group of exceptional young people. We're going to have Dwayne Hendrickson, who is the CARICOM Youth Ambassador for St. Kitts and Nevis, Nixon Barry, the Regional Chairperson of the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, Tijani Christian Esquire, the Chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council, and Jamelia Wiley, who is a renewable energy project officer and the 2016 Chevening Scholar. So now I would like to invite Dwayne to give us his presentation.
Good afternoon, fellow panelists and participants. On behalf of the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors across the region, I take this opportunity to bid you all an electrifying CARICOM Energy Month. This forum marks another pivotal moment that reinforces the role of young people being at the center as the region adapts and mitigates climate change and its associated disastrous effects. It is imperative that around the region, young people begin to unite and take bold actions as our energy sector is transforming right before our eyes. With this in mind, the CARICOM Youth Ambassador Program provides their ambassadors with the opportunity to participate in regional integration, policy making, and advocating on behalf of youth interests that affects their development and livelihood. When it comes to the environment, we believe that when dealing with the issue of pollution, it is important to tackle it at the grassroots level. The CYAs across the region have participated and collaborated on many community cleanups, coastal cleanups, and trash bin distributions. We have been at the forefront supporting several single-use plastic ban demonstrations in order to move the region to be more eco-friendly haven. Additionally, we believe that every effort should be made to control or discourage new major infrastructural developments in areas that are most prone to the negative impacts of climate change, particularly concerning flooding, land slippage, and sea level rise. On the smaller scheme of things, the CYAs are embarking on exploring a collaboration between our respective Department of Environment and Marine Resources to start to engage young people to change the narrative when it comes to protecting and preserving our environment while adapting to climate change. On the flip side of things, we have identified that there is still room for discussion with CYAs, youth organizations, and NGOs as it relates to the revolution of the energy sector, particularly with the development of renewable energy. Often, one of our major challenges is mobilizing young people to heighten their awareness and garner their interest so that they are motivated to display their willingness and eagerness to participate in climate change and renewable energy initiatives. The beautiful thing, though, is that there is hope. The CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, along with PAHO, UE One Health, the Caribbean Community for Climate Change Center, and other partnerships are embarking on a climate change and health project. Through research, it is evident that climate change adversely affects our health. In our capacities as ambassadors, we will drive this initiative to ensure that there is a strong representation for young people and create an avenue for project proposals as we aim to mitigate climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. And let's transition right into Nixon, our next speaker.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for this opportunity to present. Let's wait for the slides to come up. All right, so good afternoon again. As I said, my name is Nixon Barry, the Regional Chairman of the Caribbean Youth Environment Network. I will just give a brief overview of the organization and share with you some of the projects or work that we've done over the years in climate change, the environment, and energy. So the Caribbean Youth Environment Network was formed way back in 1991 and was ratified in 1993 by 17 youth organizations across the region that focused on environment. So we often refer to that charter as Clean to Understand. Currently, over 800 members across Latin America and the Caribbean, and representation in over 21 countries, from as far as Cuba to the north and Suriname to the south. Membership of the organization ranges in 3 different categories: individual, group, and associate. The mission of the organization, of course, it is a non-profit organization that is aimed at developing young people and creating the environment for them to grow, promoting education, training, integration, and empowerment in order for us to protect natural resources and live more sustainable lives. The structure of the organization, briefly, the organization is a youth-led organization, and the highest decision-making body is the General Congress. It happens every 2 years. The steering committee is made up of young people, all serving within the age group of about 13 to 31, plus on the membership aspect, you can become a member. A chapter, can serve, and the chapter would then appoint the necessary persons. So you have the regional steering committee, and on the chapter level, you have the national coordinators who communicate directly with the regional steering committee. What are our strategic areas? And these areas have been defined by the young people themselves. carbon management, which looks at climate change and energy efficiency, sustainable development, solid waste management, integrated water resource management, sustainable land management, and biodiversity. So these have been the main areas of focus of the Caribbean Environment Network, and is part of our strategic plan, strategic goals for the next few years. CYEN at work. What are some of the things that we've been involved in over the years to help young people gain that voice in climate change and the environment? CYEN has participated in a number of COPs and have done so from since 2009. Also in the Conference of Youth, and that's with Yongo, the main community, the main youth community for the United Nations. In a workshop led by the Caribbean Environment Network and 350.org, and you can research 350.org, 30 participants from 13 Caribbean territories came together about climate, to learn about climate change and how to utilize the media and the UNFCCC process in the lead up to the Copenhagen COP. So that was one of our major achievements. Additionally, the Caribbean Environment Network played a key role in the Action 2015 campaign, of course, which happened in the year 2015, and the worldwide views on climate and energy, where the network would have led the process in a number of countries. So, for example, in Grenada at the time where I was, I would have been the program manager for the worldwide views on climate and energy and led the consultations in that country. The Caribbean Environment Network would have hosted an energy conference in St. Vincent in 2018, and of course would have participated in the Japan Caribbean Climate Change Partnership. The 1.5 to stay alive, if you are involved in climate and energy, you would have heard of it. It has been mentioned today. And the Caribbean Environment Network played a key role in advocating for 1.5 to stay alive, from the national levels to the regional levels, all the way to COP21 in Paris. The Caribbean Environment Network was there advocating that we cannot go above 1.5 to stay alive, because youth, we are the future, we are the now. We need a place where we can survive for future generations to come. And 1.5 is what does it for us. And there's no negotiations about that. Other projects in terms of awareness and advocacy would include the Solar State Project. The Caribbean Environment Network chapter in 2015 also handed over a declaration calling for action on climate change with over 2,000 signatures. So we're not just talking and advocating, we're taking those decisive actions to ensure that we protect the environment and young people are involved in the processes. Okay. A collaborative effort. Right. So this slide speaks to what is to come. I mean, 2020 has been a very, very interesting year, but that doesn't mean that we've stopped working. And we have been doing our part. And soon to come from us is a collaboration between CYEN and the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change Movement. We've recently signed an agreement, and we're looking forward to working with them to push climate change and human rights in the region. A collaboration between CYEN and UNICEF, and we're looking at here supporting the participation of youth and children in climate change. So that is in the making. We're having our discussions around that, and we're looking forward to some success coming out of that project. The mock COP, of course, CYEN will have a number of representatives at the mock COP, including myself representing St. Lucia. Also, I will touch on the COI that's coming up in Glasgow. So you have the Conference of Parties and you have the Conference of Youth. CYN is going to have representation in both. Right now, I am currently serving as one of the regional coordinators for the COI for the Caribbean. And CYN also have members serving as national coordinators. Yeah, so in a nutshell, these are some of the work that we have been doing. What are some of the challenges? I think some of the challenges has to do with a little bit of membership in terms of what organizations across the region are being faced with decrease in membership. People are very busy, they have busy lives. So there's this level of commitment that we're still struggling with at some times. I think getting the message across and showing that young people are being reached, or the people who are supposed to hear the message are being reached effectively, sometimes we challenge with that. Being able to influence processes. Some people believe that young people should not be a part of some discussions and they should just be tokenized. So I think that also poses a challenge. Being recognized as an important stakeholder. Yeah. So young people are not just to be informed, but they should form part of that critical decision-making process that needs to happen. How can other organizations help? Partnership, 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 partnership. Sustainable Development Goal 17. Very, very important. We must come together. We must find ways to deal with the issues that confront us, right? Financing. We do need some money sometimes to get things done. And technical support and training, both at the chapter level and the regional level. These are some of the areas I believe organizations can come together and help us with. In a nutshell, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nixon. Thank you very much for sharing with us what CYEN is doing in this space. And next, I would like to introduce Chajani Christian, who is the chairperson of the Commonwealth Youth Council.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sophia. And thank you for the invitation and being here with you today. Truly appreciate it. And so I'll go right into the presentation in the interest of brevity, as I know we only have 5 minutes. So thank you for listening so far. So what we're asked to do, particularly in this segment, is to look at what presently we've been doing in terms of the Commonwealth young people, and then also consider the gaps and challenges, and then to also look at way forward. Sorry about that, way forward. So next slide. So the Commonwealth Youth Council is the official representative voice for 1.5 billion young people across the 54 member countries of the Commonwealth, established in 2013 at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting at the biennial summit in Sri Lanka, as an autonomous youth-led body that collaborates and partners with the Commonwealth Secretariat and other Commonwealth institutions. So we are considered to be that elected representative voice for the young people. We have an elected 9-member executive that leads the team. I sit as a chairperson, as the first Caribbean, first Jamaican as well as Caribbean national to be elected to this post since its establishment in 2013. And so we've been doing both at national, regional, and pan-Commonwealth level over a number of years. Next slide, please. So it's today I'll say this quote to you: powering our common future as a youth-empowered energy transition. Next slide. So looking at energy, I considered 3 things. Since we're talking about an energy youth forum, let's look at what we call potential, kinetic, and power. So we're going to consider this presentation in just 3 ways, simple ways, 3 prescriptions: the potential energy, kinetic energy, and power. Commonwealth youth at work and energy efficient. Next slide. So potential energy is considered a simple formula. It is mass times velocity times height. For those of us who did not like physics or appreciate it more than others. So it's a simple formula, mass, velocity, and height. It means that potential energy speaks to just the position that you have, meaning where exactly you are, without even moving, without doing anything. What is it that young people have? So we're talking about the mass, the population, we're talking about the velocity, the speed that they can, or the force that they can come with, and well as their stature. So I said the potential exists to transform the sector through engaging a new brand of thought leaders who are more about efficiency and a low carbon future. And we see from the presentation just now by Nixon, it showed clearly that there is a low carbon management kind of outlook that is there. A youthful population of the Caribbean has overwhelmingly stated that the change they seek requires them to be involved. So we see that the mass is there. There is at least more than 60% of the not just Commonwealth, but particularly the Caribbean, that is saying that our future needs to be secured by doing something different. So there's a mass, there's a force that it says the potential exists. But then it says the global outlook of youth have positioned them to be trainable, disruptive, equally voiced to sit and or create their own table. So young people now are moving beyond being asked or being invited to come to the table, but now willing to create their own. And that is the height we speak about in energy. So we see the mass, which is the population, we see the force, which is the potential exists to do this great thing, but the height, which is they're willing to be disruptive, as Michelle said earlier, the CARICOM deputy program manager said that they're willing to be disruptive in order to create and show that their voices can be heard and is going to be heard. Next slide. So moving beyond potential energy, we move now to what we call kinetic energy, which is the formula half mass times velocity. Here we are looking at what do we now do? What do we presently do? And we see young Commonwealth youth have been involved in a number of energy efficient things such as coral reef preservation, blue economy reform, which we've been doing and advocating for example, in the Seychelles, climate change and environment protection as well to the Commonwealth Youth and Climate Change Network, and of course, energy reform in terms of the use of renewable. These are some of the things that Commonwealth young people are leading and championing on. Last slide leads to, next slide please, leads to power. What does this mean about power? Power, so we've seen the potential, we see the kinetic, which is what young people are doing now in the Caribbean, Commonwealth young people. Now, in terms of the power translated as energy over time. It means that we recognize that while energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed, just change from one form to another, we don't have as much time as before because of how we've been utilizing the resources, not just inefficiently, but destroying what we have. So because we have less time, let's see how we can be efficient. So my prescriptions to us today, if we're going to really involve or achieve this efficient and sustainable development agenda, we need one, the ambassador or champions program to aid the advocacy and promotion of the region sustainable low carbon future that we want, which I see some of the things that were mentioned earlier. Integrate the CARICOM REAP program into member state. One of the challenges we have with creating regional policies is that they stay at the regional level and you are asking member states to do it. But remember, many of the member states are working in the public sector, which they are focal points for many different other programs that are going on. But if we provide these resources in terms of human capacity, we will get greater compliance and direct assistance to national policy and infrastructure investment and energy diversification program. Also to consider renaming the REAP from an apprenticeship program to a fellowship or a young professional program. Young people, particularly the type of young people that you're asking for in terms of university graduates and so forth, are more attracted to professional programs such as a fellowship or a young professional program because it brings more impressive talent as well as is more attractive for fellowship opportunities as career builders and resume boosters. So you want to probably change that nomenclature and to look at considering them, as I say, AKA energy fellows, and implement them, particularly lending them support to member states specifically. That will reduce your implementation deficit. And of course, utilize young professional and technocrats to assist small, medium enterprise in charting better strategic plan. One of the things is we understand the policy level, but policy is best achieved when the micro level is done. So from macro to micro, how do we allow small, bigger companies like a Greece Kennedy or a NCB or a Sagico or Life Insurance, they will create policies that will be more energy efficient, a bit easier than others because they have the resources. But for small business who know one way of doing things so that they can cut costs, will need more hand holding. And so if we do that, will assist even greatly in achieving this energy efficiency goal that we have. And the last slide says, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Tijani. I really loved your analogy of potential, kinetic, and power. That was really good. And our last, but by no means least, youth presenter, we have Jamelia Wiley.
Protocols having been established. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jamelia Wiley, and I am the Renewable Energy Project Officer at Williams Solar in Barbados. Just waiting for these slides to come up. Right, now today I am representing the British High Commission Youth Network as a former Chevening Scholar, now Chevening alumni. And the Chevening Scholarship is a prestigious, fully funded scholarship from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office to pursue a postgraduate qualification in the United Kingdom for 1 year in a priority area for your country. Now, this scholarship program is targeted at academic and professional development of future leaders while experiencing the best of UK culture. Now, I was awarded a Chevening Scholarship for Barbados in 2016 to pursue a Master's of Science in Renewable Energy, Technology, and Sustainability from the University of Reading. I'm not seeing the slides on the screen, but I'll continue. My research dissertation, now published, focused on the barriers of solar energy uptake and the potential for mitigation solutions, which you will come to in my research diagram on the right later. Okay, I'm not seeing the slides. Are the slides up?
Yeah, I'm not seeing them either. No.
Hi, Grace. Do you have her slides?
Right, there you go. So my research dissertation, now published, focused on the barriers of solar energy uptake and the potential for mitigation solutions in Barbados. Now, what you're seeing right there are some numbers on the slide. If you can go right, there you go. So 1,500, 11,297, and 728 million. I just want you guys to remember those numbers. Next slide. Now, what these represent for Barbados, we can produce 1,000 barrels of oil per day, but our daily demand is 11,297 barrels. Now, in the year 2019, the demand came at a price of a whopping $728 million. Next slide. So just to give you a holistic view of Barbados's energy import bill, this is how much we spent on fossil fuels from 2007 to 2019. And this is similar to other CARICOM countries who do not have fossil fuel reserves. So having realized that it's socially, economically, and environmentally unsustainable to continue on this current path, the Barbados National Energy Policy outlines Barbados's transition to 100% renewable energy by the year 2030. Now, this table shows the proposed mix of solar, wind, and biomass that is anticipated to result in energy savings of about $400 to $800 million per year. The 310 megawatts of potentially installed solar energy capacity highlighted on the table is where my company, Williams Solar, enters the chat. Now, Williams Solar is an engineering, procurement, and construction developer for residential, commercial, and institutional solar photovoltaic systems. Since establishment, we have completed over 200 projects in Barbados, the Bahamas, and St. Lucia, totaling to about 14 megawatt peak of generation across the region. Now, since the development of the National Energy Policy, we have seen an increasing demand for solar power. This has largely been due to the finalization of feed-in tariff rates released in 2019 by the Fair Trading Commission, which locks the rates in for under a 20-year license. This has given assurance to lending institutions to provide loans for PV systems, hence making them more attainable. Now, apart from our mantra of powering a sustainable future, Williams Solar fully supports the goal of 100% renewable energy by 2030. Next slide, please. We have worked with BCC and SJPI to develop courses that will effectively train and certify students with CVQs and NVQs, thereby establishing an improved and qualified workforce. We also are an active member of the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, which is an NGO tasked with educating the public on the importance of renewable energy. Now, during my research back in 2017, there was no feed-in tariff or energy policy in place. So the sector has moved in the right direction over the last 3 years, albeit very slowly. So some of these barriers are still being mitigated against. However, education and awareness of renewable energy is still a substantial barrier. Persons to this day still confuse solar water heaters with solar photovoltaic technologies. And I find that there is a misconception that renewable energy is strictly science, technically based, or even engineering related. Renewable energy encompasses the same aspects like other businesses. So to the youth out there, next slide, if you're interested in working in the renewable energy sector, please do not feel restricted if you don't consider yourself a technical person. We need marketing and sales representatives, procurement specialists, and accountants. The adoption of renewable energy in Barbados and as well as the region requires a multidisciplinary and a multi-sectoral approach. And the more awareness increases and education improves, the more that we can truly continue to power a sustainable future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jamelia, and thank you to all of our presenters. Thank you to Dwayne, Nixon, to Johnny. Thank you for sharing with us, Dwayne, on the great initiatives that are being done in your organization in terms of climate action, marine pollution, renewable energy. And Nixon spoke about the CYEN and what they're doing on not just the regional level, but also on an international level, and really raising awareness through that group. And to Johnny for sharing with us all that is being done and, you know, inspiring us to go through that progression from potential energy to kinetic energy to utilizing power, and for the ideas that you posed. And Jamelia, thank you so much for sharing your educational as well as your your professional progression and giving us insight into what's happening in the Barbados energy sector and in turn what we can do in other islands. So now I'm going to transition into a question and answer segment. First, we're going to start with the regional organizations that were a part of the first session. We invite you to pose questions to our youth panelists. You can do so by raising your hand, and I will be able to call on you to turn on your mic. So feel free. A number of our organizations are here with us. CCRI, Ambassador Clowder, from UE. I see Sherry-Ann has her hand raised. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Safar. So when I was presenting on the CCRI, a number of persons asked about how they could get involved with the CCRI. And so what I want to ask from our young people, I outlined a number of programs that we have, but what do you think we're missing? How could we engage you more in our activities, or what activity would you like to see us, in addition to having an innovation challenge for university students? What else could we do so that you are more involved in this energy transition?
Anyone can feel free to take on that question.
Okay, I guess I can take that question. I think when it comes to the CCRE, I feel that sessions like these are beneficial in terms of sharing the message across and promoting about renewable energy and climate change mitigations and adapting and so forth. Jamelia would have expressed that education awareness is a great barrier, and that's a barrier that we need to tackle. So from a secret point of view, I think that that's where we should start in terms of generating the conversation.
Thank you, Dwayne. Would any of the other panelists like to contribute to that question? Okay, well, oh, go ahead, Tijani.
One. And let me get this right. Miss Ferguson, it is right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, Vice Chair. So CCRE particularly would have been involved with the READ program, right?
Yes, we are.
So that recommendation that I had about the power is definitely applicable to you in terms of because what we found is that so I did a little, what I would say, a small little survey with some young people last night when I was preparing the presentation on what apprenticeship means to them. So when they hear apprenticeship, they really think TVET. They don't
okay.
think it's really for, is it a TVET or I was in high school and I have to do an apprenticeship program, something like that. But the level of person that you particularly want or the expertise for that is not necessarily, it doesn't, when somebody hears that as a university graduate, they're like, apprenticeship? No. So even how you sell is important. So even changing names, that's why I said, even if you call it young professional energy fellows or whatever, I call AKA energy fellows. That a nice ringtone to it, a nice kind of thing. It brings a new level of talent, both finally lies in undergraduate students, graduates, as well as persons in master's program, because fellowships and things of that nature is more career builders, seen as career builders, because you're more involved in policy discussions and helping implementation. And then pulling in, give them the experience that you'll be working more with member states specifically. So not just the regional institution, but that could now show that they can get the experience of working in a regional institution, but even working with another country. And I think that's a big, in terms of pulling the talent, because young people, yes, we're good at the marketing and the selling and promotion as ambassadors, but we have to remember that young people are also professionals with like Jamelia, who has her master's, a Chevening Scholar, who are in their 20s, even with PhD, and they are willing to offer to get the kind of experience in those kind of environment. So doing it that way does help in getting the right set of young persons.
Okay, thank you so much, Tijani. We'll definitely, keep that in mind because we want to encourage and attract the best of the best. So thank you.
Definitely will. We can tell him I'll tell him I send them.
All righty.
Okay.
Thank you, Tijani. And I mean, if I might say, as a someone under the REAP program myself, there is truth to what he said. It's not until I really read the write-up of what the program was about that I was like, okay, yes, this is something that I want to be a part of. So the name really, so definitely agree with him there. I see him nodding. So on to our next question. I see that Mr. Sumir from CDF has raised his hand. I invite you to unmute your mic, please. Hello.
Thank you, Sophia.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, my name is Rodin Al-Suma. Sorry that I have to be correcting you. It's not a comment.
My apologies for the wrong pronunciation.
That's okay. I'm the CEO of the CARICOM Development Fund. I thoroughly enjoyed all the presentations, particularly the presentations by the youth groups. And I thought I should maybe pose a few questions and challenges to them. A lot of the recommendations that they made, I think, are very good recommendations. So if I have a minute or two, let me just run down quickly. First, to Dwayne, I like the idea. It's a simple idea that you seek to ensure strong representation for young people in various initiatives. So what I would like to encourage you and challenge you to do is to take that approach to the regional institutions in CARICOM to ensure that youth have strong representation and opportunities for participation in new and emerging programs that are being put up by these institutions, including institutions like CDF and C3 that are active in the energy sphere. So that is something you should seek to do, because there are a lot of interesting things happening that require an infusion of the views and participation of youth, more so than is happening now. For the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, your agenda is very broad, but it seems to me that you are focused heavily on advocacy, which is good, but I think you should be involved more in program development and implementation as an offshoot of that, and try to position yourself to attract funding to do programs that are aligned with your priorities. And I recognize that in the end, towards the end of your presentation, you spoke about the need for partnership and financing and training and technical assistance. And I think that is the direction that you need to go into so that you would get more into the mainstream of the things that need to be done to make a change in the various sectors in which you are seeking to make a difference. And I think it was very interesting, a lot of the areas in which you're involved in, from my sense, the governments of the region are perhaps not paying as much attention to them as they should, or at least there's not enough definitive action. Solid waste management, integrated water resources management, land use management. I think it would be good if you could instigate further policy and program action in these areas, because these seem to have taken a bit of a backseat to things like climate change and everything else that has been spawned through that. For the Commonwealth Youth Council, I also love your analogies, and I agree with your vision and your thrust to have a new brand of thought leaders. But I think you should also seek to produce a new brand of business leaders. So get a little bit out of the advocacy and more into the business side of things. That's just my impression from your presentation. The recommendations that were made with respect to the REAP, I also agree with them. I was the CDF was as part of the REAP program at the regional level. I think a rebranding or refocus to young professionals or fellowship would allow us to attract more of the types of skill sets that we actually need. And I think C3 was lucky to get Sapphire. We would all love to have people like her working with us. We do have some good REAP interns with us at CDF and I'm sure in the other organizations. But I do believe that we could have done a better job collectively if we had pitched it in the way in which Jenny was suggesting. I like the idea of utilizing young professionals to assist SMEs in charting and creating better strategic plans to restructure their business operations. I think you should pursue that. And I think the universities would have a key role to play in allowing you to achieve this. So you have to engage universities. I'm sure that they're already doing some good things, but to have them to focus in a very direct way on that would be useful. Jamilia's presentation, excellent. I like in particular your solar energy jobs slide. And I think we need to elaborate what these opportunities are across the region. Because I think that we know that there's potential to job creation, but I like the sort of multi-sectoral, multidisciplinary approach that you made reference to and the sorts of examples that you cited. They don't readily come to mind when we think of job creation in those sectors. So I think if we could elaborate what these opportunities might be for the region in sustainable energy across the board, I think that would provide good pointers for youth in terms of how they chart their career paths and to mainstream into these opportunities. So these are my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Dwayne, would you like to start? Dwayne, are you with us?
Yes, yes. I appreciate the feedback. That is something that myself, along with several other ambassadors, would have discussed, and we would have spoken to our deputy program manager, Miss Michelle, and we could only take it up from there to start the initiatives and really get the regional support that we seek and look for.
Thank you, Dwayne. Nixon?
Yes, I'm here. I'm afraid I may have missed some of what was said because of bad internet connection. Nonetheless, we do appreciate the feedback. I think I heard that we should not just focus on advocacy, but getting to whether it's the business or the action sector, and I welcome that. We at CYEN are always open to a new challenge, and we have been doing more than just advocacy in terms of projects and with adjustment grants and all these different projects. So we are taking action, but many thanks for the feedback, and we do look forward to working in organizations such as this.
Thank you, Nixon. To Jenny?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sommer. I was not in there agreeing about the REAP. When I read the document and saw REAP, I was like, I mean, it's a nice acronym. Who put it together? It's a nice acronym to say CARICOM REAP. But then I was like, apprenticeship. So I'm happy that we both agree that it would really, the change would really make the attraction. And like I said, Energy Fellows, I won't take any copyright cost for that, so you can have it for free. This is our contribution, CYC's contribution to the energy efficiency initiative in the Caribbean. So we're fine with that. Just so you know, CYC helped. I will say that particularly, I'm happy for the point about produce a new brand of business leaders. There is where I guess I said I was looking particularly at the SME thing, but as you said, the business leaders, thought leaders in terms of the political directorate and all that may be of the mindset, of course, that there needs to be change. But if we can buy in more big businesses, which just studying Jamaica, particularly looking at most of the companies and even looking at the Caribbean, a lot of the bigger business know that energy is one of the largest costs that they have overall in businesses. I think there was a recent book that was done, in 2016. I was reading the chapter on energy diversification. See, I have it here, Unleashing Growth and Strengthening Resilience in the Caribbean. And I think there's a chapter written by Dr. McIntyre, Professor McIntyre, former of UWI, who speaks about that energy cost is really the biggest cost for businesses to do business in the Caribbean. And so any way that you can help with a larger or smaller companies, especially if you have bigger companies buying in, would really be critical. But what I've found is that particularly while a larger organization can kind of reconfigure their policy to affect that change, the SMEs really need the hand-holding. They are the ones that really need that kind of hold through to say, this is all you need to do. So I guess helping, CCRE and others can help in particularly those kind of public education programs that really show them how, because again, you have to remember while a number of those SMEs are growing, and many of them the persons who lead the SMEs may not necessarily have the greatest level in terms of different educational level. So helping them many times will be much more profitable in the end than anything else. But you're right, more business thought leaders, because that's where practically we will see energy efficiency beyond policy imperatives. practically how businesses translate that in their operational costs. Yeah, so yeah, I'm good. But you can take a read, guys. It's a good book to read.
Thank you, Tajani. I saw some interest about the book, so you can probably post it in the chat so everyone will know. And it was interesting that you mentioned SMEs as actually a focal point of what the CDF is doing. So yeah, just to note that. And Jamelia? Jamelia, are you with us still?
Hi, sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sumer, for your kind words. And to Johnny, I saw that reference of you hinting that I was in my 20s. I appreciate that. Regarding your statements about this is what other Caribbean countries need to be doing. Barbados took a long time, but we finally got here and we got a clear, definitive energy policy. And that's what other CARICOM countries need to have in place. And apart from that, there also needs to be a relationship between the government and the utilities. And I know throughout the Caribbean, we have the utilities are not government owned, they're privately owned. And luckily in Barbados, our utility, Barbados Light and Power Company, which parent company is Emera Caribbean, they believe in renewable energy. We have a 10 megawatt solar farm. They're about to build an energy bridge. There are projects going on now for our wind turbines to be constructed. So we luckily have a utility company that believes in renewable energy and is doing everything they can to advance the country's directive of 100% renewable energy by the year 2030. So unless the utilities in these other Caribbean countries can get on board, you're going to find a bit of an opposition with having people being generators to the grid. You also need to have in place, if you're going to use the feed-in tariff structure that Barbados currently uses, that came out of Germany and European countries. If you're going to use that, if you're going to have net metering, buy all, sell all systems, all of that clearly needs to be defined. I saw someone put in the chat, Mali, solar should be in the Caribbean building codes. That's one thing we're working to as well, because if it is that you're moving towards a more sustainable future, you need to have building codes because PV goes on houses and PV modules last for about 20 to 25 years. So you need to be building structurally sound buildings to hold these modules. And then in the areas where you want to put ground mounted systems, here, you can't really put them on land. You can use it on agricultural land because we just finished a 1 megawatt solar farm here. And our plan is to put sheep there to, keep the grass low. So you have a farming opportunity as well as you're producing power on the same property. So those are the type of things that need to be, done throughout the Caribbean if it is that we really truly want to move towards a more sustainable future. And I mean, we've set the directive at 100% by 2030. Other Caribbean countries need to have that in place. You want to achieve it by a set target. You have your baselines and you know that you're going to compare, okay, your carbon emissions to this date, you're going to lower them to like 1995 levels, etc. So until that is done holistically throughout CARICOM, we're going to have some issues going forward, but I have hope in the youth. I believe in you guys. I believe in me. We're going to get this done.
Thank you, Jamelia. You raised some really great points. And just to the attendees, if you want to find out some more information, CICRI, we did up a CARICOM energy report card. I think Sherry-Ann mentioned that. So the last one was for 2018, and it gives a very good overview of where all the different Caribbean islands are. There's also a report card for each island, so you can go more into that as well. And just generally, as you mentioned, the 100% renewable energy target, there are 3 other islands who have the 100% target. That is Dominica, Montserrat, and Grenada, I believe. So we're getting there, as Jamelia said, but there's still a lot that needs to be done to get us over the edge, really where we need to be. So now I would like to invite Ms. Burnham, from CrossQ to pose her questions.
Sorry, mic was still muted. Good afternoon to everyone and good afternoon to the panelists. Thank you very much for the presentations. They were very interesting and very enlightening. I have 3 questions. The first question is for both the youth ambassadors and the CYEN. I wanted to know, when you represent your organizations at forums such as this, how do you translate your learnings in such a way that there's something actionable and value added coming out of it for your organization?
To the youth ambassador, you can go ahead and take that question.
For us, it's basically based on the feedback we receive, and such in like for a forum like this, we'll take that feedback and we will create an action plan. In my presentation, I spoke about, gave a brief synopsis of how the ambassadors across the region are going to tackle the issue of climate change and health. So it's not, we're moving away from the whole concept of a talk shop and actually moving to action and noteworthy initiatives. So we take those feedback, initiative plans, suggestions, and recommendations, and we turn them into action points.
Okay.
Thank you. And briefly, CYEN.
CYEN.
Yes. Nixon? I'm not sure that Nixon.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, the internet is dropping. Can you repeat that quickly?
I was asking, how do you use what you learn here into something and turn it into something actionable and something that's of use to your organization going back?
Okay, well, I think this would serve as part of the open consultative process that we have adopted at CYEN. Things are always changing. We're a very dynamic organization, and our membership and young people are the ones that are determining where it should go. So the feedback here today and this entire activity is very important to us because we are not opportunity others. So discussions, and we will see what is feasible and how we can move forward to serving as much people as possible.
Okay, thanks. If I might, I just have two last questions. The first.
So sorry, Ms. Burnham. We are pressed for time right now, so we have to move on to the next session. So sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you to all the other regional organizations for your questions. Thank you, panelists. I will now hand over to Tio Kadav to lead us into the next section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Safia. What I wanted to add is that we're going to go into a consultation. So don't be afraid that you're not going to get a chance to have your voice heard. We're going into a consultation right after this video because a lot of you made mention of things that are happening. So I want you to see what's happening now within the region. So we're going into that consultation, and then once we are completed, we're going into the video. Once we're completed, we then come and we go into the consultation and we'll have that engagement. So Miss Burnham, I'll come right back to you right after the video to ask your 2 questions, and then we go into the consultation. Thank you very much. Grace, you can loop the video. Apologies, is anyone hearing the audio?
No, I don't think we're hearing it, Tioka.
All right, so what I'll do is I will, in this instance, simply change the feed. So Grace, you can pause and I will do the video off of my end and share on my end to avoid any issues. Yeah. Give me 1 minute just to get it up. And then are you hearing the same now?
With several projects already underway.
Yes, just I wanted to check. Are you hearing the same now?
Yes, we're hearing now.
With several projects already underway, over the next 2 years, in collaboration with partners and in partnership with governments, we will continue the rapid implementation of integrated resource and resilience plans, strengthening the resilience of the power sector in Belize, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Lucia by diversifying the energy supply and ensuring reliable, affordable power delivery. The Policy and Regulations Help Desk and Integrated Utility Service Model, providing technical assistance to member states, utilities, and regulators to overcome barriers and advance the uptake of renewable energy services and improved energy efficiency. The Regional Energy Apprenticeship Program, equipping the next generation of sustainable energy leaders with the capacity and tools to disrupt, innovate, and lead us into our sustainable future. And launching soon, the Project Preparation Facility and the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, mobilizing millions of dollars to finance the region's energy transformation. The commissioning of the design of a regional emergency response program to provide emergency energy services, restoration, and recovery support to strengthen the region's ability to withstand climate shocks. A strategy on energy access in rural and hinterland areas, which will increase the quality and quantity of modern electricity services supplied to citizens in rural areas. Regional strategies and actions which focus on energy efficiency and electric vehicles, providing a roadmap for our countries to decarbonize and optimize their energy systems across multiple sectors. In collaboration with the Caribbean Examination Council, we are also working towards greening education. And through the Regional Energy Apprenticeship Program, we are creating employment opportunities as part of our thrust to invest and expand our region's renewable energy human resource capital. And this is just a snapshot. As you can see, along with our partners, we are working on several policies, actions, and initiatives that will empower and improve the livelihoods of all CARICOM citizens. Join us. Let us transform our Caribbean together.
So I want to thank you all kindly for joining us here today at our first inaugural virtual, that is, Youth Forum. I introduced myself before, but for those of you who are now joining in, I am Tioga Dove, Communication and Visibility Advisor at the Technical Assistance Program for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean and a main partner of CARICOM Energy. I want to thank you all, first of all, for joining with us and for sharing those insights. I'm seeing a lot of conversation in the chat. And at this point of this afternoon's proceedings, what I really want to do is to execute a poll but a series of polls, but a consultation. And I want to tell you the reason why I'm doing the consultation in this manner. So first of all, before I explain myself, I want you to pull up on your screen or pull up your phone or your computer and type in, right, some of you are doing it already, great. Poll, look, it's right above the screen there. I hope you can see it. pollev.com /C energy 357. Yeah. So I am going to take you through a series of just short polls, because what usually happens is we come to these forums, we have conversations with each other, a few people talk, and then we tell everybody else, oh, send us your questions. We want to ensure that we give every single person here the opportunity to contribute and share with us so that we can take the information that we gather, put it together in a report and a document, and then work to really mainstream the ideas that you all have put forward today. Tajani, I hear your idea full and clear, but all your ideas, and look at it and look at how we then mainstream those ideas and the vision and the voice of youth within the sustainable energy transition. Before I continue, however, I know that Ms. Burnham had 2 questions, and I would like to give her the opportunity at this point in time to complete her 2 questions. Let's finish that off, and then we come into the consultations. So I wanted to come and show you this so that everybody gets on the site, everybody gets on the chat, whatever it is that you're going to use, whether it's your phone or your computer or a tablet, and ensure that you're seeing here this first poll. Once you're inside and I'm looking at the information, then I am assured that you are on, and I will receive all your points when you are contributing. Ms. Burnham, I hand over to you again to finish your presentation.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this quick. The question to the Commonwealth Youth Council, Mr. Christian, I really like the suggestion of the fellowship. I think it's a good idea to attract the kind of talent that the organizations are looking for. I, however, have a question in relation to one of your slides and one of the examples used from Kenya in relation to renewable energy. What I want to know is how are projects and initiatives such as this filtering down? Because I know you have a network of 1.2 billion in 54 countries. So how does information like this and projects like this, renewable energy in Kenya, filter down to us in the Caribbean region? What do you guys do in relation to that? Training, assistance, that kind of thing.
Yes, thank you for that, Ms. Burnham. Excuse my video at this time. So most of what, for example, so the Commonwealth Youth Council in this network, we are partnered with thematic youth network within the Commonwealth space. So while we lead on, so most of it is led by the Commonwealth Youth Climate Change Network. So we facilitate training we've done climate change training within the Caribbean, as well with young people and young leaders, as well as outside of the Caribbean, all across the regions of the Commonwealth. So we facilitate that kind of training that can take place, as well as knowledge sharing. So the climate youth, so if let's say a young youth-led or anybody is interested in that kind of area, whether the climate change initiative or that, in energy related matters, we can then channel you to the necessary person. So we are both links between the thematic youth groups as well as to other members of the CARICOM secretariat, like for example, the Oceans and Sustainability Directorate within the CARICOM secretariat, which may have key technical persons who we are in connection with. We can partner and liaise them with other youth groups who want to expand their work. So that's some of the things we facilitate. Yes.
Okay. All right. Seems like a productive approach. And how is that working?
So far, it has been working well, to be honest. The uptake of young people, the CC will most, like I said, led by the Commonwealth Youth Climate Change Network, does have a strong advocacy voice in terms of the rolling cup and other things and their training and development program that they do. We were to do one last year, have a training and development workshop here in the Caribbean. Sadly, it didn't take off as planned because of different funding related issues in terms of hosting. However, now with COVID, you know, that hosting is really just us being here. So that will be revisited, I think, next year.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. Last quick question to Ms. Wiley at Williams Solar. I noted the last slide as well in terms of the professions that you noted were needed across the region. My question is, how can regional organizations do you think help encourage the kinds of professions you're recognizing are needed in this sphere to help reform the energy sector?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Right. As I said in the presentation, that I think there is a misconception that people don't think that those professions have anything to relate to these the renewable energy sector. So this was me kind of putting it out there as the call that you kind of need to start adding on these multidisciplinary professions when you think about the renewable energy sector. You need to start looking at it as a business approach, because it is a business. It's just one that is science-based. However, not everyone here is science-based. We have engineers in the office. I'm the project officer here. We have PV technicians, but we have admin assistants. We have sales reps. We are part of marketing. We have accountants. It's still a business that needs to be run. So this was just me putting the charge out there that this is where, for me being in the sector and then me doing research for my dissertation, this is something that was lacking. So this is what the youth groups now need to focus on, that you can get into this field without being technically inclined.
Thanks for that. And just to add one note to a comment that you made in relation to the solar energy and buildings, I would like to encourage the audience to actually start reviewing what CrossQ is doing. That's the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, in relation to the 2018 CARICOM Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code. So there's actually a building code out there that looks at energy efficiency, what is happening in buildings, the energy use in buildings, and that kind of thing. So that may be one of the things you'll want to look at and follow up in relation to your work as well. Just a note.
Will do. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those two questions. I will now reshare my screen so that we can proceed with the consultation aspect. So on your poll, I just want to gather a bit of base information. As you realized when you entered the polling area, you did not have to indicate your full name if you didn't wish to. This is totally going to be anonymous. As such, all we want is your views. So you're free to state your views. We want your views. We want to capture what are some of the key things that we need to do within the region, but more importantly, within your respective countries to truly transition our region. So I see a number of persons already responding to the poll. For anyone else, let me just go on full screen. My apologies there. Okay, so now I am on full screen and I think you can all see the information there. So you just go, if you have not done so already, you go to pollev.com/C Energy 357 and you'll be brought right into the poll. Yeah, so I'm just going to move on. This was just some key data that I needed to collect. You can still respond. I'm not going to lock it out. So anybody who joins at any point in time can answer the questions that have gone before. So my first question to you, what are the current challenges faced by youth in advancing the sustainable energy transition in your country? Yeah, so, sorry, yeah, I was interrupted 1 minute there. Yeah, so what are the current challenge faced by youth in advancing the sustainable energy transition in your respective countries? The CYEN people who are in here, you're executing a number of initiatives across the region. So you can chime in, everyone at this point, all the other young people across the region who have an interest in the sustainable energy transition and trying to find a way into that space, but they can't seem to find it. This is your chance to tell us what are some of the things and some of the current challenges faced by young people. And we see now that responses are coming up, so no experience. So of course, with no experience, we know immediately that programs like the REAP, that we have gotten your advice on rebranding, so internships and so forth are key within the region. You're not in decision-making positions and they lack the required expertise. I say the lack of expertise is a recurring theme within this conversation. Lack of access to funding, lack of government support, not integrated into the educational system. I love that point, and you would see in the video that we shared just before this that we are working with CXC towards greening education and greening, supporting teachers. Just recently, there was a teacher training, CXC, in collaboration with the University of the West Indies, held a teacher training session to support teachers in administering the green engineering curriculum online. There have also been a number of initiatives with green engineering that CXC has been advancing as well. So a lack of awareness, a lack of opportunities, a lack of inclusion, a lack of experience. And I know that all the organizations and their representatives are on this call with us, so they are seeing one of these responses. And of course, when we put together our reports, we will also share these quotes and concerns as well. So proper legislation and policy framework, experience and opportunities. Sustainable energy is expensive, but cost effective. Cost of living is already very high. Many young people don't have the resources, a lack of emphasis at the school level. So we're seeing that current theme that there's a lack of emphasis within the current curriculum. So this is valuable information for CXC. Ageism, that is quite correct. The lack of financial support to start up small projects. Yeah, and for those who are speaking, who are thinking of starting up projects and so forth, I urge you to go over to the CCRI's page where you will see launching soon, as you saw in the video prior, is a CRAFT and PPF, which is particularly geared at supporting project developers in fine-tuning their projects to be able to bring it to a stage of bankability, and then also helping them to mobilize the resources required. So right now, pop over to the CCRI page and look up PPF and CRAFT because it's launching soon. That is something you'll want to keep your eyes on, even if not now that you don't have something that you're presently working on. If you know a friend who has an innovation or project within the sustainable energy sphere, you can share that with them, but that's something that you can write down and put on your vision board for next year or the year after as to something you want to apply to. Yeah, so traditional careers, the mindset of traditional careers of lawyers and doctors and so forth. I want to bring this, and I want to bring this point home here to the young people that are with us. If COVID-19 has done nothing to change your mind, I want you to know that the one thing it has done, had we looked at world leaders, our own leaders in our country, had we look at the private sector, how we said to them, you have to close up, you have to shut down, you can't operate for XYZ period of time, they would have said that we're mad. Yeah, but look at us now. By something that is invisible, we have been put to a halt. If COVID-19 has done nothing else for you, I want you to stop right after this consultation, not immediately, and think about how it has disrupted your life, and then think about your future. How can you future-proof yourself and your career and everything that you're doing now? How can you use this not as a challenge that it has presented to us, but as the opportunity that it is for a look into the future? Yeah, because it disrupted us. It brought systems that were never online before are now fully online. Whatever you're studying, you're working on, you're doing, reflect on it and say, is this future proof? I've had a look at the future by this experience. Is it future proof? Right? So I really want you all to use this period that we're in, not as a period of, oh my gosh, doom, gloom, whatever else we see around, but as a period of, where is the opportunity? Yeah, we've been pushed into the future, pushed into digitization, pushed into requiring, I know many of you are home and your bills are skyrocketing because you're using more electricity now because you're home. So think about different innovations. I urge you to walk around your house now and say, what can I do? What can I change? What can I think of to transform and transition a future towards one that is sustainable? So I thank you all for the comments on this slide. I am going to move on now to the next question to give you an opportunity to contribute. What solutions do you propose to overcome these challenges? So a lot of challenges were just mentioned. Tell me now, what solutions will you propose to overcome some of these challenges? Government support. So when we talk about government support, we talk about grants, we talk about, we don't just talk about grants, but we talk about an entire ecosystem. And I want us to come out of the thinking as we're here and don't think that you just need to, I need a grant and I'll get this going. No, I think the main thing that we need from a government at this time is building the ecosystem with business and with all the different arms, with civil society, government, private sector, to have that collective impact to really transition us. It's not going to be on the government alone, right? It's also going to be on the private sector, and it's also going to be on civil society. So I encourage all the youth organizations. The CEO of the CDF had something to say earlier, and he said we should look at a business approach. And I know some of you may have stopped in your tracks and said, but we are a youth serving organization, you know, we're a youth-led and youth serving organization, like you're the ones with the money. No. In everything that we do now, I want you all, especially those in civil society, youth-led organizations, all of these organizations, look at a business model for your NGO, your civil society organization, your youth organization, or whatever it is. Have a certain aspect within your model that is not dependent on grant resources, but that generates its own income. So for instance, CYEN, just an idea off of my head. If it is you as an organization can train, build your capacity, your core members, build a cadre with the capacity to do energy audits, and then offer those energy audits within the various countries, because you all are a regional organization. Offer companies and organizations and household energy audits done by young people, branded that way. But more importantly, the income that you generate from those energy audits, and that's just one aspect, you can then put a portion of that towards the organization, and of course get paid because you have a new skill now, get paid with another portion. So I want you all to think about some ideas, because I'm going to tell you, yes, there are regional organizations and institutions on this call, but we have all seen that our budgets have been ravaged by COVID-19. More importantly, just everything else in our economy was already under strain. So resources are finite and they're going to be even much tighter. I want you to think now, everyone on this call who's in an NGO organization anywhere, think now, look within yourself and say, what can I offer that can earn an income? Stop thinking inside the box of this is all that I do. Don't get that rigid. I want you all to really think outside the box, particularly to civil society organizations, because you know that you're the backbone of much of the work that is done on the ground and in the communities. And you have to find a way through this all to continue to prosper and survive and thrive. Yeah, so solutions, a lot of them are coming in. easier government loans for the purpose of renewable energy, government subsidized renewable energy products, partnership with towns and cities across. Oh, I like this. Joint partnerships. Yeah, so you can learn with partnerships or something like this. You can definitely learn with Twin Cities best practices, what they did to transition, particularly where they may have a similar climate or culture, etc. So that's an excellent idea. Allow generation of energy outside electricity companies. Yep, that is indeed something that is key. Allocation of government land to sustainable initiatives for young people. That's a super idea. That's a super idea. I know in some countries, they're giving like a parcel of land for young people to do agricultural projects on. And they give them the startup and the support to do that. So that's a really good idea that you have there. Yeah, I apologize for the disruption and the song that's passing there. Reduce taxes or no taxes for renewable energy hardware. I know some countries have this, and sadly and unfortunately, some countries don't, but this is indeed an excellent point made here. So I'm gonna run right along now, and I am going to ask that if you have, I can't manage this and the chat. So I'm going to ask if there is any main bit in the chat to offer there. I'm going to ask one of my trusted colleagues, my moderators, my co-moderators, to point out anything that they may see in the chat that they think should be mentioned now, or somebody that we should open up to let them expound a bit on another point, right? Embed youth development programs in the suite of services provided by business support and industrial development organizations. Is that meant to be international development organizations? Just to confirm, or is it industrial? Confirm that for me. Learning from experience of neighboring islands like those on the French West Indies who have access to funding from the EU to undertake regional projects like those of sustainable energy. Just so that I give you some information. So you've been hearing, I've been saying, I am Tioka and I work with TAPSEC. TAPSEC, the Technical Assistance Program for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean, is actually funded by the European Union and the German corporation. So I should have indicated that if you were looking at all the slides for the presenters, you realize that there was the EU flag there, as well as a German corporation. So they are actually funding and supporting CARICOM Energy, as well as regional institutions, all the partners who are on this call. They are funding and supporting the initiatives under, to bring to life, the interventions and activities within the CARICOM Energy policy. So just so you know, this is already happening live and in living color. REAP is supported by the European Union and the German corporation and implemented, of course, by our regional partners and a number of other initiatives under the present interventions that we have now. Yeah, so I'm going to quickly go on to the next question. And it's only a few, so I'm not going to have you here pretty long. And this is, what are some of the changes you wish to see in your country and the region as we embark on the sustainable energy transition? I know from some of the suggestions that you put forward prior that there would be some overlap. So I would take like about 5-6 comments. You all can continue giving the comments. Thereafter, I'll take about 5-6 comments. And then the proliferation of electric cars. I wish, is CICRI on? CICRI has a REV strategy. I tell you all, a lot of these things are happening, and this consultation is showing me that we really have to step up our game. And I say we because it is also partly my responsibility, but we really have to step up our game with spreading the information out there. And I'm so happy that we have you all now, that you all have registered, because we're going to be adding you to our list and ensuring that you get the information that is necessary. CICRI, Sherry-Ann, tell them about the REV strategy, just a quick bit, so that they know, and then they can pop over to the CICRI page and download the whole strategy and read it. Go ahead, Sherry-Ann. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tioka, for that. So yes, we have developed a regional electric vehicle strategy, as you mentioned, and we're looking at how can we make that transition from our regular internal combustion engines to electric vehicles. What do we need to have in place? And the one of the first outputs from that, we're actually having a train the trainers session for electric vehicle trainers in terms of maintenance, policy, regulation, and that is actually the registration for that closes today. So if we have any trainers in the automotive industry or any of our regional institutions who are interested in training in electric vehicles, you can still sign up for that today. The training begins next week, and I will post the link to the revs in the chat shortly.
Thanks so much, Sharianne. So you heard Sharianne immediately. She's going to post that link. If you're interested, please send an email, engage. So let me now. Oh, all of a sudden, my slide deck changed. Apologies. Okay, perfect. So I'm now going to go to the next slide here. I'm going to activate it. Yeah. So you're all seeing that? Perfect. What are some of the youth-focused priorities and considerations that should be taken into account in the regional energy policy and strategy? So, yes, CARICOM has a regional, the CARICOM energy policy, and much of the work is happening now through all the partner organizations that you see here. The CCRI, of course, as the main implementation body to bring to life, much of the interventions outlined in that policy. But in addition, CXC, CrossQ, CARILEC, all of these organizations are doing work. Tell us, as we think of now ensuring that young people are mainstreamed within the sustainable energy transition, tell us, what are some of the youth-focused priority actions and considerations that we need to take into account? Sure, renewable energy, right, is in the curriculum. Perfect, that's happening. We're working on that. Anyone else? I'm wondering if there is, okay, I was wondering if there's technical difficulties here. Great, it's coming in. Bring you organizations and other non-CARICOM countries, accounts, having a youth representative in planning of the organization. So I am going to now, all right. Policy should be gender sensitive. Quite correct. And we had recently CCRI, again, led with regional institutions and partners in the region months ago, actually. And we looked at the aspect of gender mainstreaming within the work that we're doing within the energy transition. So that is definitely something that we're looking at. National consultations, just like this one. Right? So I'm going to move along pretty quickly, just so that I ensure, of course, everyone on the back end can still get the questions. And this was partially answered prior, but I'm asking it particularly now for the regional and international institutions that are here to support stronger youth participation in sustainable energy. I remember someone in the previous comment spoke about having youth representatives on the board. And when I say youth, I think I should be clear here, because many times we hear youth and we think, no, we are referring, and the target for today's engagement is 15 to 35 years. So when I say youth, I am speaking also to the young professional, but I'm also speaking to the young person who's now doing CXC or now doing CAPE and thinking of what's next, where do I go, where are the opportunities, and don't even know that all of this exists. So we have a very broad definition of youth, and we are looking at from 16 years from the time that they are in CXC, getting ready, thinking about their next steps and their subjects and what they want to do, and formulating a passion and a drive and learning new things and ideas, to the 25 and the 35-year-old young professional looking to really streamline and cement their career. Less nepotism within energy-based internships, youth engagement, awareness campaign, and that is something we definitely have to work on. Someone said internships, not only at CCRI, but CDB. I have to reflect on just how much advertising we did for REAP, because REAP, yes, I understand that the name may not have been attractive, but REAP had opportunities at CDB, at CDF, at CrossQ. So I'm shocked that many of you did not see this. And we will certainly do a better job now that we have your information from the registration at sending out these opportunities to ensure that a wider catchment of young people are able to access these opportunities. So I'm really, really sorry about that. Yeah. Make a deliberate effort to include youth organizations and stakeholder consultations for development of new initiatives. There's, Sophia is saying that there's currently a reposition open at CARICOM. So hop over there to their website and get further information. If you want to learn more about REAP, www.tapsec.org/REAP. Go there and you would find all the information you need to know about REAP, and I'll ensure that that CARICOM post is up on that website by Monday morning. Join social media as well of the regional organizations. So who I'm seeing the comments there, pop it in the chat for all the regional organizations. Just pop your social media link in the chat so that everyone can like, follow, share now, right? At the end of this, we will also send a follow-up email, and I'm going to ensure that we have links to all the regional institutions, to their main website, as well as their social media links within that email that you will receive over the next 2 days. I can't promise you today. We have to pull things together first of all and send you a really sound update on today's proceedings. So I promise you that when we send you that, I'm going to send you all the information if you don't already get that today. So I'm going to go on to the next question now. And this is a bit, I'm quite curious. So this here is, what 2 key sustainable energy areas are you most passionate about? So the deadline for the CARICOM REAP position is November 20th. Yeah, so Sophia just popped it in there. Thank you, Sophia, for backing me up on the ones and twos. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much, right? So what 2 key sustainable energy areas are you most passionate about at present? And it's very important because many times we think of programs, opportunities, and initiatives from our own selves, very top up, and then we launch it, yeah? Innovation is the buzz now, so everybody wants to do an innovation challenge, but is that the only thing that you want? So that is why it's important for me to ask this question, to see what is your passion at present, so we understand how to really harness what young people are really passionate about and then work within that, or work with that. So I have shown you, I don't see any responses yet. I don't see any responses yet. So I'm gonna wait. Okay, great. This is a sort of a maze here. So let me geothermal and biomass. Ooh. And you could vote, huh? So you could vote it up or down so that we can see what you're most interested in. Electric vehicles, solar, seeing solar again. Renewable energy research, unconventional ones like green hydrogen, environmental justice, waste management, energy efficiency. Secret, you seeing this? Chariot. So I think of those capacity development opportunities. Yeah.
Definitely making note of that.
Indeed, indeed. Solar and geothermal, biomass, electric. There's a lot of, I saw EVs a number of times. It went up and it went down again. But there seems to be a lot of interest in that. Yeah, resilience. Reducing buildings' carbon footprint. Waste management. Solar water heating. Okay, resilience is going up now. There is someone whose audio is on. If one of the moderators can mute, check and mute, I would be very grateful. Solar biofuel. So let's scroll back up here. Let's take a look. I see waste management, energy efficiency, recycling, solar and geothermal, solar panel installation, solar water heating, energy efficiency. Beautiful. So I'm going to make note of all of these. Of course, when I download the report, I will get all that information, but I'll definitely share this as the key interests. As a key interest point, yeah? So I'm now going to go forward to the next slide. Are there any new and emerging issues you're exploring or keen to explore further? Because sometimes things are happening. Many of you are working on innovations and we're not aware of it. Tell us, are there any new or emerging issues you're exploring or keen to explore? Ocean technology, OTEC, yeah. Hydrogen fuel cells. So certainly OTEC, certainly hydrogen fuel cells. Biogas in agriculture. Wow, microbial batteries, green hydrogen, electric vehicles as vehicle-to-grid batteries. Policy-wise, the issue of the implementation deficit within the region. I would ask the individual that just said that if they could raise their hand and if a co-host could allow them the opportunity to expand on that a bit. Because I want to probe if you wish to identify yourself, of course. Grid integration, using sargassum as organic fertilizer. That is happening a lot. I saw some innovation with that in Barbados. Yeah, so I am going to continue. I'm not sure if anyone would have identified themselves or wish to expand on it a bit, but I am going to now. Environmental management needed to mitigate the impact of the extraction of raw materials for infrastructure, sustainable recycling plants and recyclable plastics, aquaponics. Great. So I'm gonna leave and go on to the next slide and leave this one open so that you have the opportunity to contribute, continue to contribute. And we're moving to the end. So this is key. Yeah, because we can have all these great conversations with you. And then, whew, that was quick. And then you don't have the relevant networks. Let's be real. If you don't have the relevant networks and the relevant opportunities, then it's very much more difficult for you to really progress and create the kind of change, impact, and navigate your way. And that's why I said in the beginning, you really require an ecosystem to thrive. So that is something I also wanted to sort of capture. How do young people feel within themselves? Do you feel that you have the relevant networks and opportunities to realize your passion? And if you don't, and that's something we have to look at, particularly because many of you here are interested within the sustainable energy sphere. If by this data you're telling us, no, I don't have access to the opportunities I need, then we need to ensure that our information network is good, that whenever there are opportunities, the right people see and access these opportunities. Good. And my next slide, which is going to round us off, before I sort of end and give Dr. Gardner to speak to his commitment to youth. The next slide is going to itemize about 15 opportunities or so, and you're going to vote on that next slide. So I'm going to give you about 1 more minute to just give your views here. So we have an even 52, not even, but 52-48 saying no, they don't have access to the relevant networks and opportunities. Oh, it's increasing. Yeah. About 46 saying, yes, I do have access. What I want to encourage you to do as well for those young persons who are on this call, who are not part of a youth-led or serving organization at this time, I encourage you to check out CYEN, check out the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, check out beyond these usual names that you know. Look within your country and see where there's an opportunity to volunteer and get involved in an organization. I can tell you my own personal story. I started at the age of 16 volunteering, and it was that volunteering opportunity that springboarded me into development. Yeah, and into the sphere of working within the sphere of development. So it's very important. I have met a ton of people. I have really great networks and friends that I can access. Many of them are on this call. Dylan and Elijah, all of these people across the region who are in CYEN and who are some leading project developers in their respective countries. But it's important that I met many of these people through either volunteering with UNDP think tank or volunteering with an NGO in my country or different bits like that. So I encourage you all. There's a Dominican Youth Environment Organization, and they just posted, Sophia, sorry, again on the ones and twos with me. Thank you so much, Sophia. Sophia just posted them there, but I will also take it upon myself to maybe look at a list of some of these key organizations and send, so that you can really get involved, and it is there that you will learn new modes and methods of doing things, but more importantly, gain friendships and contacts and networks that can really help and springboard you. So that's your first point, and that's what I want to ask you to do today. But more importantly, we have to ensure as regional institutions that when there are opportunities, the right people see and access it. So that's something that I commit to doing more within my own role. So we're going up to about a 60-40, right? Which tells us that we have some work to do. Yeah, so I'm going to go on to the next slide, and it says, what opportunities are most beneficial to you at this time? I know for sure that there's a wide, because I looked at the registration list, which I'm quite proud to see so many of you were interested. And we have a wide age group. So I tried to put everything in there to sort of see training, internships, seed capital, study tours, networking events, mentorship, business incubators, residential and immersion programs, scholarships, technical assistance. I want to know and get an idea of what do you really need or you think is most beneficial at this time, given your interest within this sphere. So I'm seeing my cube going around and around and around, networking and internships, all of the above, networking, events. So most beneficial. So I'll encourage those, all of the above. Think about, look at it, think really closely. You're engaging now on the ground with your peers. You have so much people around you, things are happening. If you take a look back and you step back, what is most beneficial? If there's a grant somewhere, or there's a program coming up, or one of these institutions are thinking, okay, we want to do something with this pot of funds. What is most beneficial at this time? Tell us. So it centers around internships, networking opportunities, and all of the above, which means everything. Yeah, I'm seeing, I don't know why my cube is not recognizing it, but I realize that there's an orange marker and that signifies mentorship, and that is very key. And that is one of the key things also that is a component of the reprogram, mentorship and professional development opportunities. But more importantly, I encourage the regional institutions on this call as well with us today to think about a small mentorship program within your organization, maybe mentoring, having leaders within your organization mentor at least 3 to 5 young people, maybe annually, who have an interest within the sustainable energy sector. I think that would really be something that would be tremendous and pivotal. Yeah, so I'm going to give a bit more time. Scholarships, certainly scholarships, and I just want to plug, even though it just closed off, definitely mark it on your vision board and your calendar for next year. Chevening Scholarship is an excellent opportunity. There's also Fulbright. There's also, there's one that's from the EU. I can't remember it. But there are a number, there are Commonwealth scholarships as well. So I want you to really, and I think that is something, I know my colleague Penny, who's at the CICRI, is also on there. I think that is something also that we should start pointing out. I think most important is pointing you into the direction or having a space where all this information for opportunities, access opportunities are located. But there are a number of scholarships out there. The New Zealand government has a number of scholarships in sustainable energy, so I want you to go Google that as well. Australia has a number of renewable energy and sustainable energy scholarships as well, so Google that. So I'm just giving you some tidbits where you could go find information right this minute. You can Google those bits. Yeah, I am going to move forward to the next slide. So I see some light green, which signifies seed capital. Again, go to CICRI's page. I'm sending you there. Not to raise the traffic on the page, but because there is so much information and opportunity. CRAF, C-R-A-F, PPF. Look at both of those bits. Just Google it, or sorry, not Google it. Go on CICRI's page, type it in the search bar. You'll find all the information. You may not, if you are not able to apply for same now, that's something you can pin on your board and say, in a few years' time, I wanna do this. I wanna apply for this. Study tours. Yeah. That orange is networking, mentorship, residential immersion programs, and scholarships. Yeah. So we have come to the end of the consultation. Tell me, how would you rate today's consultation? Yeah, and it was just something to kind of break up the whole bits and, you know, just bring a little vibe to it. Before, I'll be very sad if I get a sad face down to the end there. And I know somebody will do it for good measure. But before I conclude, and I want to just make sure Dr. Gardner is on the call. Dr. Gardner, are you still here with us? Dr. Gardner? So while I wait for Dr. Gardner, because he has to come and close off with the commitment to youth, Grace, we have one more performance. So Grace, are you ready with Josiah? I know we pre-taped it. Just in case we have any technical difficulties, we pre-taped it. But I'm sure, Grace, can you just tell me if you have it up, ready, raring to go?
I'm ready. It should be
ready. So I need to come off of sharing screen now because you have to share the lyrics, correct?
That is correct.
I am doing so now. And I'm stopping now. Perfect. Grace, over to you. I'm going to then message Dr. Gardner so that he can come right after. So before I let Grace play the song, I want to tell you that last year during CARICOM Energy Month, we had in collaboration with, I believe, the name is not coming to me right now, but in collaboration, one of our partners, I think it's Virtual Island Innovation, if I'm not mistaken, we had a competition for young people to create creative pieces as it relates to climate change, the environment, sustainable energy and resilience. We had four winners that we featured last year, but I thought it was really nice to include one of our winners, Mr. Josiah Mentor from Guyana, who has a lovely song that I love. It has a really nice rap beats and stuff to it, so I wanted to share that with you all. So we take that in and then we come back for Dr. Gardner's commitment to youth. Grace, over to you. Josiah, if you want to put your video on and say hi to everybody so they can see you. And Grace, over to you now. Yeah?
Produced by Smile.
Yeah. Stuck in the wasteland, I witness in my eyes. We've locked in the maze and I now start to realize we've come to a place where our way back is way back. We're stuck 30 years in the future of our lives. With lots of the air has been sucked out like honey. Got to do that when you're looking for money. Snatching the fuel till our fuel is undouble. Patching the gas, we need something renewable. Ay. Look to the sky, not a bird or a plane. Burning an hour with extreme and supreme power gain. The sun has enough to give within an hour to give me a year and a half. I had to spend money on something I'd care to have. Then bills and bills and bills and bills and bills. And still I cannot have enough to fill my will. I'm gonna head and go solo, yeah. Put up a gen in a tower, ayy. Got all the banners on roofs, ayy. This be the banger I shoot, ayy. I'm gonna head and go solo, ayy. Put up a gen in a tower, ayy. Got all the banners on roofs, ayy. This be the banger I shoot, ayy.
Produced by Smile.
Walking in the street, I can feel the heat. People in the car, passengers up in the back seat. People getting sweat, passing me by as they tracks me. The taxis and trucks spitting gases and dust out the exhaust pipe. If they were to go renewable and stay so light, and the people in the hinterland capitalize, and we save the atmosphere from being so but we could save the planet, so we saved our lives. In the hour cause the president from the man cast to the sky, not a bird or a plane. Burning an hour with extreme and supreme part of gain. The sun has enough to give within an hour to give me a year of money. And something I'd care to have. The bills and the bills and the bills. And bills and bills and still I cannot have. You know, will and go solo, sing the
Grace, your turntables are switching.
This you and this is for real. I never lie and you know it's the truth. One reason why you should do this, my youth. The ozone is dying and nothing can save it if we still rely on the gases we gave it. Over the years we have dropped our defense, ignoring the teaser, the earth was intense. But with a few changes we carry your ranges. A message that come from the SHOS, yes.
So I thank you kindly for that, DJ Grace. I apologize for the interruption in between, but we will definitely also share a link because Josiah's song is online, and I think the words are truly moving and moving us to action, to really think. So Josiah, you there? I just wanted to let you give a little wave to everyone so that they can see the young man who penned those words. And yeah, I can't see. All right, no problem. Dr. Gardner, are you with us? Dr. Gardner, are you hearing me now? So, I'm unsure what's happening to Dr. Gardner. Dr. Gardner, are you here with us?
I think he may have dropped off, Tioga.
He dropped. Yikes. All right. Well, then, it's my responsibility to end, but I don't want to end just like this. There are a number of regional institutions on this call. Dr. Burton, would you like just to close us off? And I would give a number of other regional institutions. You all were here to listen to the voice and the vision of young people. And I just want to open this up now to give the regional institutions the opportunity, starting with Dr. Burton, to give the regional institutions the opportunity to just give some feedback on today's engagement. But more importantly, I will compile my report, get it over to you, and then we talk next steps. So, Dr. Burton, if I can, I will let you go first. If not, I see Sharianne is all ready to go.
Okay, I'll allow Sharianne to go ahead and then I'll jump in after.
Okay, perfect. Sharianne?
All right, thank you so much. And it has definitely been my pleasure to be interacting with the young people today. I've definitely enjoyed the feedback that we got. There definitely some work for us to do, and we got some very good ideas from whether it's from branding to initiatives that we can look into putting into place coming in the next year and in the upcoming years. And just to remind you that this isn't tokenism, so you hold us accountable for the commitments that we've made to you today, and we've taken your suggestions, and we definitely will be making sure that youth remain at the center, because as I had said at the end of my presentation, we're not inheriting the earth from our ancestors, we're borrowing it from you, our children. And so we need to make sure we do a good job so that when you take charge, as you are doing now, that you have something beautiful to look forward to.
Thank you so much, Sharianne. I know you'll be getting a lot of emails and traffic over on Secret's page. So I'm very
They have started already, so thank you.
Perfect. Dr. Burton, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just say that it's a wonderful privilege to be participating in this session today. The energy and the creativity thinking of our young people in the region does give one hope for the future and as well for the present. Mention was made about the REAP opportunity at the CARICOM Secretariat. So just to say that we're very pleased that there's such interest in this. The opportunity is, however, for persons who have graduated from a university with a couple of years experience. So I am sure that there are such persons out there on the call. And so we welcome applications by the deadline that was indicated of next week, Friday. And to the regional organizations, thank you so very much for partnering with CARICOM in this forum. We look forward to another opportunity to engage the youth of the region in such discussions, and we are very thankful for the opportunity today. We encourage especially girls and boys to pursue sciences diligently. We know that sometimes there's an aversion to math and sciences from the academic institutions, and obviously these would be some of the major pathways to opportunities in this sector. So again, kudos to everyone who put together this forum, and we look forward to participating in one in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Latoya from CXC, Latoya Rose, I'm going to let you go first if you have any bits that you want to say to close, and then I'm going to let Latoya Burham from CrossQ go next.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Had a little bit of trouble there finding my mic. But I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. I really appreciate the invite to this forum. It was really enlightening. And I just want to reiterate some of what you would have stated, that the Caribbean Examinations Council has partnered with agencies such as CCRE and the TAPSEC program in ensuring that candidates, youth overall, are exposed to sustainable energy, with emphasis being placed on RE and EE skills. We have been doing a number of things with green engineering, which would include teacher training workshops, as well as webinars for students. We are also reviewing a number of our CAPE and CSEC syllabuses, ensuring that greening concepts are integrated, looking at renewable energy, as I said before, and energy efficiency. So we are doing our part in making our youth aware, and hopefully that by accessing these syllabuses, they can move on to greater heights and play their part too in ensuring that our future is bright. So I do thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you so much, Latoya. Latoya B now.
All right, thank you, Theoka. I just wanted to say to the panelists, very well done today. Your presentations were good. The question and answer was also enlightening. I just want to encourage you and your youth organizations to continue growing and continue looking at ways that you can help our region improve in the area of energy. And just to add to what Ms. Wiley would have said, there are plenty of careers out there that are not specifically science related. I'm one. My background is in media and marketing. So there are careers out there that would welcome the opportunity to benefit from other areas and other inputs beyond the science as well. So look out for the opportunities and continue thriving in the way that you're thriving with the interests we need it in the region. And thank you very much for your attendance and your interest today.
Thank you so much, Latoya. And I want to build on what Latoya is saying. For those young people who are here, I have not an ounce of any sort of formal education in renewable energy and sustainable energy. My background is in social development, more so youth development, for many years prior to that. And I started my introduction to renewable energy was actually volunteering with my partner's renewable energy organization. And that is where I gained my foundation and my knowledge. And that was just 2 years ago. You know, so I want to encourage you, and I want you to encourage your peers. Don't think that as you've heard today, I have to go and study sustainable energy, or I have to study renewable energy. Don't sit where you are now within your own self and think, oh, I don't have the capacity to get into the sustainable energy sphere. I encourage you to look at your skills, because every skill is needed within every sector. And then see how you can pivot if this is a sector that you really want to get into. Feel free to send us a message. You can email me at info@tapsec.org. So if you need direction, I am here, I'm volunteering my time. If you need direction or you have a question, email me and I'll be very, very happy to answer and direct. As I said, yes, TAPSEC has its website. CCRI's website is where the juice is at. That's where the opportunity is at. CARICOM Energy website as well is where you would get most of the documents, the policy and so forth, if you want to really look into it and see where all of that is about. So I want you to hop on over. If someone could just pop CARICOM Energy's website in the chat for me, hop on over to CARICOM Energy's website and the Facebook pages. I will keep you updated there. But more importantly, CCRI's website. CARILEC is also on here. CrossQ, CDF. I want you to look at these organizations. Spend your weekend researching and looking at the work that they do and think, this exists in my region. There's so much opportunity. And I want you to start thinking in mindset and out of the box. Mr. Sumer, I know you contributed in the session earlier, but I'm very much open before I close to having you leave us with any last words if you may wish to. And I see your mic is unmuted there.
You're almost insistent, Tioka, so I will...
I am sorry, but...
But let me again correct the mispronunciation of my name. It is Suma.
Suma, I apologize sincerely.
It is an unusual name.
I apologize.
Maybe it should be a household name by now. Anyhow, no, it has been a great pleasure. I came to this, I accepted the invitation to be a part of this forum, really not knowing what to expect. Sorry about that. And I sat right through. I haven't had lunch, and I have not regretted 1 minute of it. It's not often that we have the opportunity as heads of regional organizations to interact with youth. So I really look forward to it and I enjoyed it. That's a call. That's a call from home. That's why it. I'm trying to mute it now. So no, as someone said earlier, this is not tokenism. This is not patronization. This is serious business. And we really look forward to engaging the youth constructively in our programs. We say in our narratives that we support youth and women's development, etc., etc. But seldom do we get the opportunities to put these into practice and put ourselves to the test. So we look forward to being challenged, just like I challenged some of the organizations when I spoke. And we look forward to being able to craft creative responses that redound to the benefit of youth professionally in this sector and elsewhere. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you kindly. Before I move and I go to my two co-moderators, are there any regional institutions on the call who would like to just add any words before? I'm not sure if I missed anyone out. My participant list is not going down. So that's why I'm falling into a bit of problems there. Nolette? I think that's the only name that I'm seeing that we didn't engage with today.
Good afternoon. I'm also with the Caribbean Examinations Council. Latoya would have spoken and I want to endorse what she has said. We are pleased to be a part of this forum. We're always excited to partner with CARICOM and the agencies of CARICOM to support the region. And again, we have gained tremendous insights from this interaction. Certainly as curriculum developers, we listened keenly to the suggestions that were made. And we are pleased that we, in partnership with CARICOM, have been able to be responsive to some of these suggestions that have been made. And we continue to look forward to the interactions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hand over now to my co-moderator, Martin, to give closing words. And of course, who's going to close us off? None other than Sophia herself, our star. She's going to close us off this afternoon. So Martin, over to you. And then you'll pop over to Sophia, and then Sophia will close us off.
Well, everyone, thank you. Thank you for attending today's session. We had the honor of, hosting this panel across our different organizations. And, you know, the greatest resource that we have is our people in the Caribbean. So I think these type of initiatives and, you know, working in knowledge management, it's the long-term investment in ourselves. And in order to do that, the behavior of knowledge exchange and knowledge sharing is the way that we can move this forward with the youth. And so Dr. Farquharson, Dr. Burton, Dr. Gardner, everyone else on the call, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Tioka, for organizing this.
No problem at all. It was a team effort. Sophia, over to you.
To reiterate what
May I just
Martin,
say before you speak,
okay.
that I just want to give you a big round of applause. So this is Sophia's first moderating her first session as this opportunity, and she has been a star. And I'm so proud of you, Sophia. Like, you can see me smiling. If I had no ears, I'd have choked myself by now. I'm really proud of you. So I just wanted to give you a really big clap.
Thank you.
And recognize that. Yeah?
Thank you. And to reiterate what Martin and Tioka has said, it's really been great to be here, to be a moderator. It's been an honor. Just want to say thank you to all our presenters, youth and regional organizations. It was really good to hear the different insights coming from those perspectives. And also a huge thank you to our creative performances. I personally really enjoyed them. And I think that, you know, it's really an integral part to get the message out, to do it in a creative and in a fun and engaging way. And, you know, just generally, it is my hope that as we move forward, we, as the youth, will continue to engage in this space in a permanent and a lasting way. It came up a lot in the consultation, you know, to be a part of the decision-making process. I think that's a really big thing. And I really hope that this is the springboard to a continuation of that. So thank you to everyone for joining us.
Thank you so much to everyone. Have a very, very, very good Friday afternoon, well, evening now, we're going into evening. Have a good weekend, and I just challenge you. This is our region. The future is ours to have. We will only get out of this world what we're willing to take. So I challenge every single young person on this call here today. Come out of this session, take a step back and think about your space. This is your only home. Huh? When borders were closed, this was your space and this is the only place you had to reside. Think about that. This is our region and all we could do is fight for it. So I want you to think about the work that you're doing or what you plan to do. I want you to make a plan. Reach out to us if you think you need advice. Go to Secret's page, as I told you. They have the juice. They have the information. There's so much information there. And I want you to really start to think. And before I go, the Earthshot Prize that Ambassador Clouder spoke about, that is £1 million. 10 prizes every year until 2030. There is no reason why the Caribbean cannot mobilize some of its best innovators and minds to go forward for that. So that's my challenge. Go look at the Earthshot Prize. If you need advice, you need more information, go over to the Secret page. If you want to understand the direction of CARICOM and what is in the CARICOM energy policy, go over to the CARICOM energy page and look for the policy. Let's make our region the paradise that I know she is and can be. We are already living in a paradise, but climate change is affecting us and we have to think about our future and come up with these solutions. So as I end, I want to tell the young people on this call, no offense to anybody else, but we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Nobody is here to show up. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. And it's on us to really take the charge. I thank you all so much for joining us here today. It has been my absolute pleasure spending this time with you. Have a good afternoon. Take good care of yourselves. Be safe. Wash your hands. Socially distance. And take good care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.